It's Kelly and Company. We're talking December 17th episode of 2024, really counting down the year now. How do our teeth feel about all the tasty treats being served to us during the holidays? Well, as we get into it, certified dental assistant Gail Ritter is going to be brushing us up on our dental knowledge. Here we go.
This is Kelly and Company.
I'm Ramya Amuthan. It's a Kellyless Kelly and Company day 2, and I'm going to jump right into our dental chat with Gail Ritter. So the holiday season, of course, does change, at least generally speaking, the types of food that we eat and how often we're eating it. And the real question is, do our teeth feel happy about that? Probably, long story short, is no. But CD8, Gail Ritter, is a certified dental assistant. And Gail, that's the first question. What exactly is a certified dental assistant? So we can get right into this chat.
Okay, well, I'm an educated and licensed oral health care professional who
Mm-hmm.
directly assists the dentist and the patient. So I'm there working with the dentist whenever you're having a dental treatment that isn't a cleaning.
Mm-hmm. And that is totally different from, or is there overlap from the dental hygienists? Uh, can you clarify?
The dental hygienist and the certified dental assistant are educated down one branch of the tree. We
Okay.
just split from each other. The dental hygienist goes on to just training to use the instruments and technology for cleaning the teeth. And I go down a different branch, which is the diseases that cause cavities, the needs for root canals, crowns,
Got it.
bridges.
Okay. Root canal. Personal experience there this year, actually, for my first root canal. So we want to talk about first, at least, before we spin into like rapid fire, getting in as many questions as we possibly can answered by you, talking about the high sugar foods and all kinds of other treats that we're having during the holidays, which, so many of us are aware of, but it's like we can't help it. It's the holidays. So, what are the damages that you want to point out? That we are putting our teeth through or oral hygiene through when we're overindulging during the holidays. I guess that's alcohol and sweet treats and just constant eating, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, important to remember that every person walking this earth has bacteria living in their mouth, and the bacteria feed on carbohydrates. So when you're eating something that's a carbohydrate, it's in your mouth, bacteria is eating, and the byproduct is acid. And that acid
Mm.
attacks our. The sad thing is the acid takes about between 20 minutes to an hour to neutralize again.
So the acid is being created or brought out of its hiding hole from all the
Um,
bacteria carbs?
it's the byproduct of the bacteria consuming the carbohydrates that are left over in your mouth.
Okay. And that effect is right away, and then it takes about an hour for the acid to neutralize, as you're saying.
Yeah, it can take about an hour for your saliva to then change the pH value in your mouth once again. So you
Okay.
can be having that
Okay,
acid
why
attack.
is this important to remember? Is it because like we need to remember when to actually brush our teeth? Obviously, the first part of it is, the more carbs we eat, the more this process is happening.
Well, the acid attack is what is dissolving the cavities into the enamel of your teeth.
Okay.
So
Okay. So, how do we alleviate this other than try to minimize the carbs and sugar? Does brushing more
I would say,
constantly?
you've got to enjoy Christmas, but, if you're eating a meal and then stopping, then the acid attack would end. That's not generally what happens at Christmas time. We're grazing on
Mm-mm.
things. So,
Yeah, we're eating like 24/7.
yeah, so the constant acid attack that's happening there is, what would probably be concentrating on, and what can you do to alleviate that? Well, you know what? Drink plenty of water in there too. So you're actually helping to rinse some of those carbohydrates out,
True.
and you are rinsing the acid off of your teeth. And whatever you do, make sure you actually do brush and floss your teeth at night before going to bed.
Okay, and that's because I'm assuming then we spend the next 8 plus hours sleeping and not, tackling the bacteria.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
just get an
Okay.
opportunity to basically grow more bacteria.
Mhm. Mhm. When I was a kid, we had a lot of cavities, and me and my brother were just constantly going to the dentist for cavity after cavity after cavity. We had lots of this nice grills or silver fillings or whatever people had. Um, so we weren't brushing our teeth often enough. But is there a like we all hear about brushing our teeth before bed, and is there some kind of myth busting or the truth behind, how much teeth brushing we should do? Like, should we actually be brushing our teeth after every single meal, after every time we put food in our mouth? So during the holidays, I don't know how often people think that they might want to brush their teeth, or is there such thing as too much teeth brushing?
Well, I guess if you're brushing with an extra heavy hand, that would be too
Mm,
much teeth brushing because you're maybe causing damage to the soft tissues in your mouth. That's the
okay.
gums. Um, we would generally say that you need to brush your teeth at least 2 times a day. So when we're teaching young kids, we say in the morning after you've had your breakfast and at night before you go to bed. And
Okay.
for adults, anytime in between is welcome. And definitely, if you are cavity prone, probably brushing after lunch wouldn't hurt you either.
Okay. But the other part of it is don't brush so heavily. Like, not necessarily how frequently we're brushing our teeth, but how hard we go.
Yeah, we refer to that as scrubbing. If you're
Oh,
putting a lot of pressure on your toothbrush and you're kind of scrubbing your teeth, because
yeah.
many people are busy and they want to rush through brushing their teeth. So instead of spending that 2 minutes period of time to actually brush your teeth, they think if they just press harder with their toothbrush,
Mhm,
that they can do that cleaning in less time. And
mhm.
that is actually a fallacy. So you're actually
Um,
not cleaning as well when you're pressing too hard.
does it matter the type of toothbrush we have? We're gonna get into manual versus electronic, but I'm talking even the brushes on manual toothbrushes sometimes are, like, harder or stronger, the bristles, than others, and I've seen some really interesting toothbrushes that look like, steel sponges or at least feel like 'em.
Mm.
So I'm not sure if there's something to that. I don't know if they sell them in Canada, but I've definitely seen it at least back home in Sri Lanka.
There is definitely something to that. I don't even know why we allow a toothbrush that is more than soft bristles
Okay.
to be sold on the market anymore. But you definitely, if you get a toothbrush from your hygienist after you've had a cleaning, you'll probably notice that the bristles won't be any harder than a medium, if even
Mhm.
that. I know in our office, everything is soft bristles, and that is to help people not damage their gum
Yeah.
tissues when they're using manual toothbrushes.
But it's like what you said, right? We think that it makes it a faster process. We just go harder. Oh, I had a really bad, sugary day. I'm just gonna brush harder because it'll probably get everything out. And then the other part of it is time, which I wanted to bring up around manual versus electronic toothbrushes. So I switched over. I keep saying electronic. I switched over to an electric toothbrush a couple years ago and realized I was definitely not brushing my teeth for 2 minutes minimum before I switched over to an electric, and the only reason I know that now is because it gives you an actual 30-second, like, a haptic feedback after 30 seconds, so
Mhm.
and it knows that you've spent the right amount of time on each like section of your teeth. So tell us, is it better to use an electric toothbrush? What's the argument?
An electric toothbrush can definitely clean far better than we can do with our manual toothbrushes. You
Hmm.
still have to be careful with the electric toothbrushes that are round spinning heads, because you're in control of that pressure on that brush just as much as on the manual toothbrush. So you have to be careful
Okay.
you're not pressing too hard with that as well. And the sonic toothbrushes, you don't even do more than hold those just against your teeth. They do all the work. They do all the sonic
Is one
pulse.
better than the other? The sonic versus the
Um,
rotating?
I use a sonic toothbrush myself, and we even go to the point of having sonic toothbrushes in our office that we buy straight from the representatives,
Okay.
so we can offer those to our patients without any kind of retail markup. That's how much we believe in them.
Okay. Yeah, because you can go down the rabbit hole of like one versus the other, and there are a lot of detailed percentages or arguments for or against either. So it's interesting to hear like what's actually maybe better or more recommended by dentists. And maybe the final thing, because we don't have much more time with you, but mouthwash.
Mhm.
Is mouthwash just a marketing gimmick? Like, does it actually work? Does the mainstream brands of mouthwash that people I know are just like it's a household staple, and maybe a household habit as well, like while you're brushing your teeth, you're using mouthwash. Does it actually work?
It works to freshen your breath. And,
Okay,
and it'll work to freshen your breath for a certain amount of time,
depends
but, like,
what
if
you
you
want.
really want fresh breath, you have to
Mhm.
clean that rotting
Gotta go
food
deeper.
out of your mouth.
Mhm.
And that you do with, brushing and with flossing, like, nothing gets in between your teeth like floss can, except if you wanna use, like, a water pick.
Mhm.
You can
Oh,
floss with
water picks are
water.
fun. Yeah. Yeah, those are really
Uh,
interesting. And
yeah.
I'm not gonna ask you if flossing is necessary because obviously it is. And most of us are like, yeah, yeah, but we know it is as well.
You
But
you only have to
how
floss the teeth you wanna keep. Only have to floss the teeth that you want to keep.
and are we talking daily, Gail? Like, should we really be flossing twice a day?
You don't have to
Is it
floss
a
more than
thing?
once a day. Once a day will do you just fine, and
Just
I
get us doing
always
it at all
recommend that being, yeah, at the end of the day. When you do your
at
your
the end.
final brush, yeah, just
After you had your popcorn
quickly
with your
floss
movie,
it.
huh? Or your chicken wings
Absolutely, yeah, that'll
with
keep
your
those
Super
little
Bowl.
kernel bits from getting underneath your gums.
Oh, man. Oh, this is so helpful. Did I miss any, like, hard pressing questions that listeners and viewers out there are screaming for me to ask? Like the top 10 things that people wanna know? Mouthwash, electric toothbrushes, flossing. Do we cover it all?
You did
Well,
pretty good.
Ramya, if I can
Oh,
jump in here,
Alex.
I have a question.
Yes. Okay, ask your
Yeah, sorry
pressing
about that.
question.
So, Gail, I recently have been finding online there's this new kind of, I guess, internet trend that people are saying once you finish brushing your teeth, don't rinse your mouth out and let the toothpaste stay in your mouth
Yeah,
because
for the
it's
fluoride.
only, they say, like the 2 minutes that you're brushing isn't long enough for the toothpaste to actually do its job. Is that true, or should we be rinsing out our mouth after we finish brushing our teeth?
Good question.
Just do a little tiny spit into the sink and leave it at that. Let every
Okay.
other bit of, yeah, that foam with the fluoride in it just stay in your mouth.
Amazing.
Okay, learn
Okay.
something new.
Yeah. Learn something new and a reminder for flossing. Gail, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I wish you a very great time this holiday season.
Thank you.
Take care of your teeth.
Maybe we will try. We will try harder. Um, I was gonna say maybe Gail should come back every year and that'll be like our annual reminder of dental hygiene. Alex, it's nice to have you back on, but we were talking with Gail Ritter. She's a certified dental assistant, breaking down the information into bite-sized pieces for our dental hygiene. And Alex,
Hmm.
you're going to tell us what's coming up on Parasport Nation today as well as Friday, 2 episodes a week. But before that, want to talk with me about Terry Fox being on the $5 bill? Have you heard this?
Yeah, I came across the news yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to see. It's great to hear. You know, there's that legacy piece of everything that Terry Fox has done for Canada, for cancer awareness, for
Yeah,
all this research and just the legacy of doing the marathon of hope, having that leg prosthesis, that iconic imagery. I'm surprised it actually took this long. I know he's been on Currency before, but I think it's been like those legacy, like little,
yeah, yeah.
like short limited runs on like the quarter or something like that. It's great
Mm-hmm.
to see that there's going to be this lasting image on the $5 bills. I'm all in favor of it. I think that's what we should be doing just in general with all our currency. I know you and I have talked about this in the
We've talked
past
about this.
about the future of currency and what they should look
Yeah,
like, who should be on them. Um, there's very few things that are more striking of a Canadian image than Terry Fox during the Marathon of Hope. So I'm
absolutely.
I'm glad to see that immortalized on our currency.
I mean, people in Coquitlam, BC, which is where he grew up, not where he was born. I think he said he was. They said he was born in Winnipeg, but in Coquitlam, they band together and put in the make sure Terry Fox makes it to the $5 bill. And apparently, like I didn't realize there was a whole process around this, but they shortlisted 8 iconic Canadians, quote unquote, in 2020 and had to break it down. And they went through like an advisory committee. And that's how they ended up with Terry Fox being announced to replace Sir Wilfrid Laurier on the five. And Sir Wilfrid Laurier is going to be moving to the 50. But yeah, Terry Fox did the most, right? So like just a quick recap on exactly the impact that he had on not only cancer research and campaigning and funding for cancer, but Canadians overall, like just our attitude and motivation. He he ran 42 kilometers across Canada during his Marathon of Hope, and that was on his prosthetic leg. Then by February 1981, he and the campaign, the marathon, raised $24.7 million or $1 per Canadian. And then his run was interrupted, of course. He was dying with cancer. That was around the halfway mark of the marathon. It took his lungs and took his life. And the statement in or from the feds when they announced this yesterday said the 22-year-old, I can't believe he was 22 when all this was happening,
Hmm.
showed Canadians the difference that an ordinary person can make through sheer willpower and determination. And I think that's pretty much exactly how we think of Terry Fox, right? Like when we do
Yeah.
the runs at schools, everybody takes part. Whether or not you actually want to do it, there is something in you that is just like, yeah, let's do it for Terry. Like because
Hmm.
he did, like I said, he did the most. He absolutely did it. And everybody, like, if you're Canadian, you obviously know about all this, or at least the inspiration of Terry Fox. But the runs are held around the world as well, which I didn't realize that, Alex. I didn't realize the impact of Terry Fox was globally, not just
Yeah, and
Canadian.
and that's certainly something that has been building in terms of the legacy through the years. And
Yeah.
what the great thing is as well, and I've had the opportunity to interview his brother. I went when I was in
Walter? No.
Edmonton.
Oh, sorry. I
Oh
can't remember his
gosh,
name now.
I'm blanking on the name right now, but
Okay.
in Edmonton, when I was there as a reporter, they actually had at the Telus World of Science, they had his bust. They had a whole exhibit that they were putting on display, and so that was
Daryl's his younger
really kind
brother,
of
by the way. Thanks, Mark.
Daryl Fox. Yes,
Yeah.
there it is. But so that was kind of part of that kind of you could see kind of, oh, this is what the conditions were really like. They had his prosthesis
Mhm.
up on display, things like that. Talking to Daryl and seeing that it's still the family involved in the foundation years later is something that is really striking, and it's great to see that that legacy has lived on through the Fox family and the Fox Family
Yeah.
Foundation, things like that. That they've taken up the mantle. That obviously it was a huge impact on their lives. Terry was a part of that family, but to carry that torch going forward decades later to still kind of be as passionate and as involved in the cause, in the mission, is great to see.
Mhm. Well, he like you said, his family carry his torch forward in every single way, whether it's to continue motivating people, make sure that his story is not forgotten, make sure that that annual amount that's coming in for cancer research specifically through this avenue is upheld. And they're just so grateful. Like you hear their responses and reactions just to this Terry being on the $5 bill, and it's very beautiful, it's very humbling, and then everything else that they do individually, I'm sure, but also, as a family is great. Terry was also, like I said, he was 22, he was the youngest person to be named a Companion of the Order of Canada before his death. I can't imagine, and I'm sorry because I know this sounds so typical and ridiculous to say, but, like, I can't imagine at 22, like, I know 22-year-olds now, and then I know what it was
Mhm.
like for me to be 22, to kind of just say, "I'm gonna do this," and do it. To imagine, like, what type of person you need to be, and that's the thing, like, we're making this a big deal, we're making Terry Fox a big deal, but it's, like, kind of the opposite of what, they're saying, right? What his family's saying, what that statement is
Yeah.
saying, what Terry was saying, which is that all of us can do it. If you wanna do it, just do it. But he did
Yeah, well, and
so
and
much more
that
than
that was
that.
it. Like when you mentioned it's like, oh, he just an ordinary person as part of what the blurbs is like. He was
Yeah,
no ordinary
he was
person. Like let's be very
extraordinary.
clear. He was
Come on.
extraordinary. He was
Yeah,
one of one. Very few people would have been able to accomplish what he accomplished, and let alone the circumstances that he dealt with
that's what I'm
during
saying.
those factors. Like it is that's why he is so inspirational. That's why we still talk about him to this day, because he wasn't just an average Canadian. Like he had that something special that really shone through and
Mhm.
that has left that lasting impact.
Yeah, it's true. And so many athletes can um and regular people can talk about, like, overcoming and trials and tribulations and being able to push through the absolute hard times. But how many of us can say, yeah, we did it, but for the bigger cause as well? Like there's doing it for yourself and there's doing it to motivate and to make it through the day and to try to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But for Terry, like with did he know it was terminal cancer? I'm trying to remember, near the
I
end
I
or, like,
I have
during
a
this
feeling
process.
like there was some understanding or there was some
Yeah,
knowledge that this was going to be terminal. So this was
okay.
going to be kind of something that was going to have
Yeah,
a pretty sure outcome for him.
right, and in the middle of that, he's like, "And I'm gonna run across Canada and raise a dollar for every Canadian to move cancer research forward." I mean, just that alone, like, that kind of decision making alone to me is like, that's not an ordinary person at all.
Yeah.
Um, when you think about this kind of thing with Terry Fox, do you think of other people that way? Like, you interview a lot of athletes, you're in the sports
Mhm.
world and everything else, para athletes or not. Um, do you think there's anyone who kind of reminds you of this or draw
In
parallels
different
from?
in different
Mhm.
ways. Obviously, the legacy of Terry Fox is obviously very different. It's very unique, but I
Yeah.
think you can look at other people who have done different things to really raise awareness about disability, about accessibility, and there are some really shining examples that are still with us. I mean, look at Rick Hansen. You know, he did an extraordinary thing, basically rolling his wheelchair around the world to raise awareness around accessibility globally. Like that
Mhm.
is hugely impressive, and he still does the work today. His foundation is
Yeah.
still very much involved, both here in Canada but abroad as well. Um, on our show airing today, we have Tristan Lindberg from Blind Hockey, the Blind Hockey League, as well as the National Blind Hockey Team. And one of the things we talked to him about, and one thing we always like to ask athletes, especially, is who would be on your Mount Rushmore of your sport? And
Mm,
oftentimes, you really find out who are the key builders of the sport, the movement? One of the people he had mentioned, Tristan mentioned, was Mark DeMontis, who roller skated across Canada very much in a similar fashion
right.
to Terry Fox in a different way, but raising awareness and about vision loss, things like that. So there are other people who have been able to um, take what Terry started and build on that for their own causes, and it's great to see that they've
Yeah.
all been linked to disability or accessibility in some way, shape, or form. So it's very much still in the heart of that
Mhm.
message. But there's others out there who are doing similar things. And again, you can look at them and be like, you're no ordinary Canadian as well. You're doing something extraordinary and you build movements that way.
What do you think it is? Is it like I know that it's the determination and the, just keep grinding, looking forward, looking ahead, but is it
Mhm.
equally just the amount of support and love that people show? Like Terry Fox had so many people in real time showing their support, either in dollars or just in like, "You can do it, man. Like, we support you."
Yeah. I absolutely. There is definite you can't do it without the support and without a team around you in
Yeah.
whatever manner that takes. Like no one is setting out to do one of these amazing feats completely on their own. You have the support system around you. I think
I
as
guess
well.
okay,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, yeah. No,
Oh,
no,
I
you
was
go
just
ahead.
going to say I think that the other thing to it is there has to be a feeling that this is gonna be I can do something that's gonna have a greater impact, that's gonna have a greater meaning to
Mm,
people in a similar situation or folks like me. That I'm not just doing this for myself, I'm doing this for everyone. In terms of
yeah.
Terry Fox, that was for cancer patients, cancer research. For Rick Hansen, that was accessibility, really pushing accessibility for all folks with Canadian disabilities, putting their needs forward. For Mark DeMontis, it was about vision loss specifically because that was his experience. So
Mhm.
I think that as as you couple in a cause or wanting to champion and push a movement forward for more people than just yourself, that is really a driving factor that kind of seems to be a through line that resonates with all these different cases.
Yeah. And of course, we're pointing out like just the stars, if you will,
Hmm.
right? Like in this conversation, we're talking about people who've done incredible work and
Yeah.
pushed the needle forward in these ways. All starting because like the iconic Canadians. But
Hmm.
it's true. I guess anybody who kind of takes it upon themselves to do something and say like I'm just a tiny part of this and I want to leave the legacy behind and the movement behind that is pushing research forward or pushing whatever forward, attitudinal changes, that kind of thing. And you're right, we talk a lot, I think, on the opposite side of things, we talk a lot about people meeting like setting the bar high for themselves even though they didn't get the support, right? People who were told like you can't do this, you won't be able to, that kind of thing, especially in not just the parasport world but the disability world, where people had to go beyond the expectations of others to prove people wrong and prove the haters wrong, that kind of thing. But I love this side of stories where it's like the love and the support and the respect and the even the awe factor. Um,
Hmm.
and we hate inspiration porn, generally speaking. But yeah, the inspiration that people
Yeah.
bring to our lives and their stories bring to our lives, and then how we can help them push their stories forward. Because that part is beautiful and it's very real.
Yeah, absolutely, and it takes many different forms. Not to kind of set up a teaser for a Parasport Nation, Ramya,
Yeah.
but
Do it
I'm
in
going to
30
take the
seconds.
opportunity. So for next Tuesday, so December 24th, Christmas Eve, we wanted to kind of do a bit of a recap of the year that was in Parasport, and so. we came up with the idea to award the PSN Awards. So we have
Nice.
5 different categories that we are awarding winners in. It is Male Athlete of the Year, Female Athlete of the Year, Breakthrough Athlete of the Year. It is the best team and the best moment of the year. And so we felt it was important to celebrate those victories. There were so many great accomplishments in the world of sport and parasport, not
Mhm.
only within the sport itself, but breaking through, making a greater awareness around for folks in the disability community. It was worth celebrating that and honoring that. So that's what we're going to be doing on our last episode of the year. We got a lineup. We're going to have some of the winners join us on the show, get their
Nice.
reaction. Me and Nathan are going to highlight some other
Alex, awesome.
honorable
Thank you.
mentions. So, yeah,
Perfect. Well, I
not a
can't wait
problem.
for that episode. And thank you so much for the teasers in the chat. We will catch up later.
Sounds good.
Alex Smyth of Parasport Nation, which you can catch Tuesdays and Fridays, new episodes airing on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Join us tomorrow as we celebrate the life of Laurie Bichelle, a man who made active change for people with disabilities. So kind of a part 2 of this conversation right here. That's coming up on Kelly and Company. Catch you later.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.